Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Laura from TERRA, and we are talking about herbs now. And of course, you know, we're in that nice end of summer sort of transitioning into fall. And so our herbs are all full and lovely in our gardens. But
yes.
Again, some people just choose to keep them in their kitchen all year round anyway.
Yeah, it's true. So getting a jump start on the transition for your herbs from outside to inside is a good thing to start right now.
Okay.
To bring any plant in immediately, to go from one extreme, which is outside, to another extreme inside, it doesn't do very well for the plant. But herbs especially need a bit of an extended transition time.
Really?
Yes, they need time to adapt to lower light levels that happen in the house and different temperatures and fluctuation of temperatures.
Okay.
So now is the perfect time to start doing that.
Okay.
With the herbs, if you are transitioning them from outside to in, it's a good idea to put them in perhaps a shadier spot, bringing down light levels.
Sure.
Then after a week of that, maybe into the garage or a covered porch, lower light levels even still. And then over the next couple of weeks, be able to transition it into the home.
That's actually a really valid point, because I don't think a lot of people would ever think of that.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you're just naturally outside, they're just going to be pulling in light from all angles,
You
right?
got
Even
it.
if it's not direct, but it's just light is just there.
Yes.
It's present more than in your home.
Yeah, herbs when they're outside do best when they're planted in full sun.
Yeah.
So you're never going to have full sun inside the house.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
And to transition them is a good idea, good time to start now.
Okay.
If you bring them in too quickly, you can notice the effects of that by browning of leaves closer to the bottom, and then they'll fall off. And the growth is concentrated on the top because it's reaching for the light. So it's going to shed everything that
Little
it
thing.
can. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we need to baby them through this transition.
All right, so we're thinking about that, and we're thinking about moving them in. And now some people have them in, you know, a relative, like say like a pot like this.
Yeah.
You could actually just bring this inside the house.
Oh yeah, you got it.
You don't have to replant.
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
A couple of things to remember with herbs when you're growing them inside. Light is important. 4 hours of light per day is the minimum requirement for light. So you don't want to put them in a north-facing window or anything like that. Also, when potting up the herbs, you don't want to put it in a pot that doesn't have drainage. They really need well-drained.
I've discovered that.
Yes. I think everyone has at some point or another.
Yes.
So using well-drained soil, but also using a pot that allows the excess moisture to to flow through.
Yes, exactly.
Is going to be key.
Now, also when there are techniques to, particularly certain herbs, when pruning them and when using some of them, where you would actually do your cutting from.
Sure, and that will depend on the herb.
Right,
and
exactly.
you don't have to worry too much about it, actually. I mean, for something like thyme, you can just take it and give it a haircut
easy, right?
there.
It's pretty good. Like
Very
basil, I
easy.
find it seems to be like if you don't do it right.
Well, basil is a bit different because it can bolt. So very easily, it will bolt and get a flower head, and then you lose the integrity of the flavor of the plant.
Yeah.
So keeping it well harvested, just continuous harvesting is good for basil.
Okay, good to know. All right, so again, there's so many different types, and when we're talking about, again, that whole transition of taking them in, but also just typical uses. We were saying how this is still that time of year. You're still getting heat. You're still getting in through September and heat, and people coming over and making cocktails with herbs is so fun. There was like this huge blitz in New York just the last couple of years where they were putting every kind of herb you could imagine in their cocktails and just making it so fun. And ones that people weren't expecting. You know, we're used to mint, but we're talking like really cool stuff just to throw people off.
And something I think is becoming more popular, but one of my favorite, is actually using lavender in cocktails and in things like lemonade and iced tea. And not only does it add so much from flavor, but also, this one's not in flower right now, but when it is in flower, that beautiful purple flower as a garnish is also a really great idea.
That is a cool idea.
Yes.
That's great.
And of course the mint is very popular in drinks, and peppermint, spearmint, mojito mint, they all do really, really well.
And that's the thing, there are different types of mint we were talking, and they do actually have a variance in flavor.
They do, yes, very much so. The mojito mint is not quite as sweet as the peppermint or spearmint, so it kind of blends itself better to drinks.
Sure. Oh, I can smell it even just touching it.
Another type of herb is the basil again. Now there are different types of basil.
Yes.
So we've got our lettuce leaf basil here, which is kind of the old standard that we use for cooking. Then we've got this variegated one, which is pesto basil. So this is the one that you want to use in your pesto dishes.
Oh, so you really don't, if you're doing, say, like a watermelon basil kind of cool drink, you don't really want to use this one.
Probably not, because it'll probably be a bit too spicy
gonna be
for
too
your liking.
spicy,
So
so
you'd
you
go to your lettuce
something
leaf
like this.
basil, and then this is a bit more spicy for sure.
Okay, so that's neat. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, when I first looked, I didn't even realize it was basil. But there you go.
There's purple basil. There's a few different types
there's so
of
many
basil.
different kinds.
So preserving your herbs
Yes,
once you get them
let's do that.
inside. There are 3 ways that you can preserve. One is air drying. Quite simply, cut them, bunch them together, hang them upside down for a few days in a place that is dark and dry. We don't want any moisture on them, so
Oh, right.
got to
Of
be
course,
careful
yeah,
with
because
that.
can get mold and whatever.
3 or 4 days later, it can actually, go up to 14 days, but you'll find them dried out perfectly.
Okay.
Oven drying is another way to
Yeah, I was just
preserve
gonna ask you
herbs.
about that. People do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, you lay your leaves down, no matter what it is, on an oven sheet, 1 layer, put it in the oven, 350 for up to 4 hours. You have to keep an eye on it and kind of touch it to make sure they dry out that way. Then you let them cool and store them in a glass jar. Again, no moisture.
Glass jar.
When you touch the dried herbs, more flavor is released. So you don't want to crush them until you're ready to use them, because then that will
That's
allow.
right, because yeah, when you see a lot of times the chefs will just really like rub them between their fingers before they
Yes.
put them in, and it just totally. So you want to be careful with that before putting them away.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
And the other method is freezing. So you would literally lie the leaves of the herb onto a baking sheet, put it in the freezer. When they're frozen, take them out, store them in a plastic freezer bag, and there you go,
So
ready
I've
to
never
use.
heard of that. I don't know why I don't know that.
Well, another way to do it in the freezer is actually with a bit of water in a food processor, grind it up, put it in ice cube trays, and then you've got fresh herbs ready to
that's
go whenever
actually
you
cool.
need
And
them.
again, that's what people are doing. You know, in this time of year, people are doing that with raspberries, strawberries, blueberries over the summer to preserve. So you can do that with your herbs too.
Definitely.
And herbs are so great to have. And we're so lucky, and you can get them all here at TERRA. And thanks, Laura. Some good information for us here
My
today.
pleasure.
Yeah, and cat grass you're saying, right?
Oh yes, cat grass for our feline friends.
Yeah,
Cats
always-
go nuts for this, and it helps with their digestive
See, it's
systems
good for them
too.
too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Good
they
stuff.
go nuts.
All right, we'll have more TERRA at home after this.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Suzanne Neumann. You're a public health nutritionist for the city of Hamilton.
That's right.
So some really good, solid information for us. And today we're really focusing in on, of course, summer and our children and nutrition. So
That's
and
right.
hydrating. Right. So
Exactly.
kids run around and go crazy, get all heated up, and sometimes they don't know how to hydrate. They just kind of some associate with water, but there's other ways of getting it in there.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly, yes. And
Okay.
good nutrition is important for everyone, especially
Exactly.
active children. So physical activity is important as well. So if we look at Canada's physical activity guidelines, actually recommends 60 minutes every day of moderate to vigorous activity for children.
And that's a lot.
It
And people
is.
sometimes they can't believe really every day. And so for some of the little ones, it's up to like 90, right? So
And it's accumulated, so you can
Sure.
do 15 minutes throughout the day and add it up. But you do need to have good nutrition. And
Yes.
so nutrition for that activity does come from the meals that you eat well ahead of time and the drinks that you have well ahead of time. So hydration is important.
Okay.
So I love the taste of just water on its own. It's so refreshing, it's delicious.
me too. But
for others who
not
don't,
everybody.
exactly, there's other options to make it so you don't have, so we want to sip unsweetened, and water is best, but you can add in natural flavors. So in this container here with lots of ice, we have some watermelon, some cucumber, and some mint.
That's great. I know my sister-in-law just doesn't like water, so she's always saying, what else can I put in here other now I'm bored with lemon, now I'm bored with lime. I'm like, you can literally add anything, and melon's great, or strawberries, that because they break down too, so you're getting even more infused flavor. Right?
Yeah, it's so delicious and refreshing. And this one has some lime in it and some chia seeds, which are kind of fun.
Cool. So explain what a chia seed is for somebody. Some people are like, I've heard of these things, but what do they do for me?
It's kind of like a flax seed, so it's actually very nutritious. It's high in fiber. It has omega-3s in it, calcium, iron. You know,
all in a little seed.
Yeah. So super power food and delicious. And so if you don't like little chunks of little things in your water, you might not like it, but it's kind of different and
Worth
fun
a
for
shot,
kids.
right? Because it's worth it. I mean, some people sprinkle it on their yogurt and granola, and it hides right in there. Or their cereal, put it in smoothies. That's an easy way to hide it if you don't want there's a little bit of texture in your water. But I'm going to try that because that's actually a neat way.
It's delicious.
Again, just trying some different options. We were talking about when it comes to something like this, having to do like basically treat duty at soccer games for your kids or any of their sporting events they're involved in, and every parent has to bring eventually something. Now, something hydrating is ideally what we're looking for. When we go back to when we played soccer as kids, everybody brought orange slices because that was a great quick energy. It gave you those natural sugars and some water and
little electrolytes. It's all you need and lots of hydration. So in those situations, I do recommend just water and fruit if you are going to do a snack rotation. It gets rid of, it levels the playing field in that it doesn't become a bit of a competition. It's easier for allergies. For most allergies, fruit is fine. And it doesn't really require a lot of prep. It can be really easy. So a bag of apples, you wash them, good to go. Here's a way to make clementines a little more fun. Put some googly eyes on them.
Cute, yeah.
You know, it's not packaged and flashy, but it's healthy and it's fun.
That's the thing. But we were talking about how some of it, people have gone a little astray with this, and they've actually are bringing in cupcakes and Doritos and things too. And just because, again, it becomes a bit of a competition with parents. They want to have, little Billy wants to outdo, Mikey. So it's not about that. It's about really just giving yourself some quick energy and some hydration.
Absolutely. And I mean, a child is not going to refuse those treats. They're delicious and, when offered. So really we want to create an environment where the healthy choice is offered and other things aren't distracting them. Because really, they should be focusing on the joy of sport and not a treat at the end.
A treat at the end. That's right. So no visit to get Timbits afterwards.
No. So another little fun thing is that these are little eggs, Easter eggs, but you can fill them with some grapes, some cherry tomatoes.
You know what?
Just
Why
a small
is that
serving.
such a good idea? My son is obsessed with these little plastic eggs being, 4.5. He thinks they're fantastic, and he keeps looking to see if there's still something Easter in there. But I mean, I think that's a great idea. He would actually love this, that if I put this in his lunch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is so smart. And I see I didn't peek beforehand, so that's why I'm really legitimately surprised.
I didn't show her.
I'm not pretending, I'm not acting. Okay, now what you've done here, that's cute.
So there's different ways you can cut fruit too to make it interesting. So I call these the shark teeth.
Oh, cute.
So kind of fun for boys.
Yeah.
There's wheels, there's wedges. You can just have tongs and serve your orange slices.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cute. I love that. Okay, and again, a watermelon's a great idea, and especially this, as you're going through the heart of summer and into the fall, like we're just it's all the stuff's around us, and it tastes way better than it does in the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
When they're hungry and thirsty, get this into them. It's good for them.
Now, so we're getting into some other versions of snacks. So whether it's after camp or going into to school time, again, and after school snacks, or taking to school in their lunches, some really good ideas for parents because. Again, we're starting to get limited with options because of all the dietary concerns and allergies. So these are great options, and some of them I wouldn't have thought about. What's this, by the way?
This is jicama. So it is a root vegetable.
Okay.
So it's also known as Mexican potato.
Yeah.
So with some lime on it, sometimes some chili powder is delicious. That is raw sweet potato cut with a mandolin with some cinnamon on it. So kind of different.
Yeah. But think
different.
about how nutritious that would be for your child if they actually like this.
Yeah.
That's bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Good idea.
Applesauce, which is just a quick, easy grab, unsweetened.
And this has got curry in it. What is this, Deb?
That's a curry hummus. It's quite delicious.
Oh, it is. hummus. And
Yeah.
hummus is actually one of those things that you can make at home that is just so easy to make.
It is.
And then you can just flavor it, as you say, with whatever makes sense.
Make a big batch and put it in small portions.
I love that. That's a great idea. And these little pitas are so cute nowadays, right?
Right.
Okay.
So this is kind of a container of vegetables. So I would recommend for those after-school moments when kids get home and they're starving, that's a great time to get them to eat vegetables because they're hungry, they want something quick, and if you have something like that in the fridge that's ready to go, they can grab that and lunch until
That's right.
dinner's
Again,
ready.
just like adults, we all want something that's quick and convenient when we're hungry, and that's why people eat fast food so much, is because it is quick and easy.
Exactly.
But again, as you say, if you have some ahead prep, you have some apples washed, I think they'll grab that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the goal
very good.
anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are these cute little muffins?
They are little sweet potato whole wheat muffins, so
Oh, I
homemade
love
muffins,
that.
just little mini for kids, so you can eat as many as kind of your hunger requires.
Yeah. Oh, he's so
Yeah.
cute. Okay, we're gonna move that. There we go. I'm getting rid of the fly because we're outside. We're in Terra greenhouse. This is what happens. Okay, and so I love this idea. I've done this for my son. Peanut butter, and so the flies just love this. Peanut butter and banana wrapped up. So
Right.
obviously that can't go to school.
No, it can't.
But it's super great for after school.
And this is kind of more energy dense snacks for if
Sure.
you're going out for a day of cycling or if you're really active as a family, things that you can bring. So the ones in the bottom are more kind of a 300 calorie range for
Okay.
these ones. There's a trail mix with nuts and seeds.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and some dried fruit. And then this is kind of fun. This can go for lunch or this
I
can go for kind of a
love
bigger
this.
snack.
Yeah.
So in here we have a mixture of vegetables. There's red pepper, tomatoes, onions, a little bit of spinach, salsa, and then this is mashed guacamole or mashed avocado
Great.
mixed with some black beans with
That's
some cheese on top.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course, granola and yogurt. And this is a kind of a fun little salad.
Yeah, that is barley, wild rice, just whatever vegetables and herbs you have in the fridge, maybe a
Awesome.
little bit of almonds on top. So
Wow, some really good ideas. So you have a website as well that people can go on
we
for more
do.
info?
So for the kind of sort of community clubs that are looking for different ideas for snacks, it's hamilton.ca/all-star snacks.
Perfect. And that'll
Yeah.
give everybody more information. But these are some good ideas, and I love this egg idea, and I'm so doing this. Thank you, Suzanne.
Great,
You're the
you're
best.
welcome.
All right, more Terra at home after this.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Good morning. Welcome back to Terra at Home. We're in the Terra kitchen with Chef Iain Kirkpatrick, and we are actually making a frittata today.
I am very excited about today.
I am too, I have to tell you. We are looking at a variety of different mushrooms, and I think that's where we're kind of start, right? Because the mushrooms, you're getting richness and different flavoring from different types of mushrooms.
Absolutely. We've got a great variety of mushrooms in front of us. You know, instead of going to the supermarket and reaching for the little white button mushrooms, let's just take an adventure in, you know, some other different types and varieties. Before we get to the mushrooms, I'm going to start my process right now by adding a little olive oil to the pan.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my leeks and I'm going to just cook them down until they become translucent.
Okay.
Just nice and soft. Okay, and while that's on the go, we're going to talk about mushrooms.
And the thing is with mushrooms, I think sometimes people are afraid to stray away from those little white button mushrooms because you're worried that, well, I don't know, maybe I won't like that flavor, or maybe I have to cook them differently. But there are some that are hardier than others, right?
Well said, yes, absolutely. The first we'll talk about is, we're going to talk about my friend the cremini mushroom. It's an immature portobello mushroom. So if this was to continue to bloom, it would be the large portobello mushrooms
I
that you
actually
would
didn't
see.
know that.
There you go.
Yay, I learned something today.
It's one of the hardier
love that.
mushrooms. So when I've got a pan going, it'll be probably one of the first mushrooms that I'm incorporating into my pan because it's going to probably take the longest to
Okay.
cook out.
Okay.
The next in the batch is my favorite, the shiitake. Shiitake mushroom, very earthy, very woodsy. Again, a light dusting with a rag just to get some of the dirt and soil off,
Okay.
and you're good to go there. So it's almost hardy. Again, that's something that I would add at the beginning as well. And then we get to one, people obviously shy away from it a little bit because it does look a little strange, but it is a great oyster. It's one of the most delicate ones.
Oh yeah, look at this.
Yeah, and they fanned out.
Yeah.
And we sort of break them
Oh,
apart
they do.
gently.
They break very easily.
It's
Okay.
towards the very end. That's when I would incorporate into my pan because
Okay.
they're not going to take very long at all
Oh,
to,
yeah, they're really soft.
to cook through. They're very soft.
Okay.
So let's get it started. I'm going to add a little olive oil again because my pan's getting a little dry the more I talk. And I'm going to bring into my mushrooms. So like I said, I'm going to incorporate my cremini mushrooms. And I'm going to get them on the pan going right now.
Okay.
While we're doing that,
So obviously talking, the basics of a frittata, eggs, right?
Eggs.
Key in your
Yes.
frittata.
the best thing about frittata, it's like one of the most easiest brunch items ever. My wife last week, she told me when we woke up, I told you that my parents are coming over in a couple of hours. And again, look into my fridge. I've got eggs, I've got milk,
Yes.
I've got mushrooms. It's something that I can make really quite
That's the
quickly.
best part about a frittata. You can basically throw anything in there, right?
Absolutely,
And
for
having
sure.
a chef in the house is always handy because then she can just pass it off to you.
Well
hey,
said.
make this
I
happen.
like that. I'm just adding a little bit of salt.
Okay.
Just to bring out some of the temperature, some of the flavor. And I can start incorporating my shiitake mushrooms as well.
Okay. And generally most people like eggs, so having a frittata, and you're actually going to cook it partly in a pan, and then eventually we're going to move it to the oven, right?
Yes, I start into the pan, and under a broiler I'm just going to finish off. I'll crisp up the top, I'll melt some of the cheese.
Yeah.
And frittatas are great that way. I mean, I can do it in a large pan and I can section it off, or I can do it in a smaller pan and just do a personalized frittata.
right, okay.
Many different options as far as...
And that's good, especially if you have fussy people in the house, right? Then you could actually personalize
like
it
you
more that way.
knew. Yeah,
Because that is possible.
that is possible.
Lots of fussy people out there.
We're towards the end. We're starting to break it down a little bit. I can start adding in my oyster mushrooms. You're starting to get the aromas and all the different smells.
Mushrooms. This is a lot of mushrooms in a frittata. I love this. This is where you're going to get some real flavor again, right? Because of again adding a variety of different mushrooms like that, the earthiness in that. It's very good. Okay.
So as we're approaching the end, what I always do to finish off my mushrooms is I incorporate butter. Butter makes everything better.
Butter and mushrooms really are like
It's
have
also
to be together pretty much.
it's gonna brown the mushrooms as well as add a nutty notes to it.
Wow.
It tastes really, really great. So all my mushrooms are starting to soften up now. So I'm gonna add a little bit of shallot, which is pretty much a garlic and an onion got together and they had a baby. That's pretty much what a shallot is.
And again, more flavor. Lots
More
and lots of flavor.
And ultimately, what else am I looking for? Is butter. Got my shallots.
Yep. Get all your key ingredients at this
Key
point.
ingredients. I'm going to turn it down low because now we're going to start to incorporate our eggs.
Okay. So now when you're putting your eggs in, are you adding any other liquid to the eggs?
None
You don't-
whatsoever.
You don't add any
I'm gonna
cream,
let
no
the-
milk, nothing.
Gonna
Okay.
let the eggs speak for themselves.
Okay. Good to know.
I can
Mushrooms smell great.
too.
I think it's key to cook the vegetables beforehand. Some people don't do that with their frittata. Some people will just sprinkle it on and throw it on and try to, like when they make omelets, right? I always
Yep.
find if you cook your vegetables first and you're adding some, either garlic or onions or butter, as you say, then you're adding way more flavor to it than if you just put them on top and
sure.
cook in with the eggs.
Key is organization. It's mise en place. It's
It
having
really is, isn't it?
everything together and
Yeah.
ready to go.
Especially when you're cooking eggs because they cook so quickly, and you need to have. I find sometimes I get caught in the kitchen that way. If you don't have everything ready to go, and you're stuck and things are burning and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about timing.
Okay, so basically we're just about to go to break, so we're going to start adding the egg into.
Start adding the egg
cooking
in
the
right
egg.
now.
You just make them in a little tiny pan, right?
Yep, just a little tiny pan. And just, I'm going to slightly agitate the egg, just bringing the cooked egg to the top.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so why don't we, basically we're going to let that cook for a little bit longer. And we want to make sure, obviously, once you get this point, you're putting it all together.
Yep.
And then you're going to put the cheese on top. And then
That's
you're going
right.
to stick it into the oven.
Then I'm going to fire it into the broiler for a few minutes.
Okay.
Just to finish off, just to crisp up the top.
Okay.
And,
And
yeah,
then we're good
melt
to go.
some
Okay,
of the cheese.
so what we'll do is we'll do that during break. We'll come back and we'll show you the final product. Welcome back to Terra at Home, and we're back with our Chef Iain, and we just took our frittata out of the oven. So we want to do a quick recap of how before we got to the oven, right?
For
Go
sure. Ultimately, a little leak into the fry pan. We sauteed that down until it was translucent. We added some shiitake, some cremini, and some
Oyster.
thank you, mushrooms to it.
Yep.
A little bit of thyme, and we finished it off with some butter. So those are the earthy flavors with the floral thyme.
Yes, and that's a great thing, right? Is like having those herbs in your kitchen. We always talk about having those handy. That way you can always just throw them. That just takes it up a whole other notch. Okay, so you cook the egg separately in its own pan, then added the ingredients on top.
Just on top, and then a
cheese.
little.
What was the cheese you put on?
Glad you asked. Piave cheese. It's a cow's milk cheese from northern Italy. Just shredded a little bit and then fired it into the broiler for a few minutes just to finish it off.
Just keep your eye on it, bring it out, and then now we're turning it into a nice like brunch item by
Absolutely.
adding a salad to
Yep.
it.
I've got a little tarragon vinaigrette.
Ooh,
I'm just going
yummy.
to add to some California greens.
Okay.
I've taken some tarragon and just put it through the lettuce, and then I
That's
can
always
add
adds
that
nice
on
flavor to
top.
And just remind everybody, of course, you can find all of these recipes on our website, terragreenhouses.com. And you look like you've done a little something to these tomatoes here.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
So a little bunch of our California greens. I've got some blistered tomatoes,
That's what he did.
which is just a little bit of olive oil in the fry pan,
Yep.
and some garlic, and just added the cherry tomatoes
And some
till
fennel,
they blistered.
Right? Ooh.
And a little bit of fennel on top of that.
That looks so good. You just
And you've
made
got
it.
a very easy brunch in a few minutes.
Yes, and actually, you can make it as healthy as you want to, right? You can take out some of the
Back
cheese,
to
you can
the
put in some more
healthy.
butter. I like to add that side of things to
1%
things.
skim
Very
milk.
good. Chef, thank you. Have yourself a good weekend.
Thanks.